Boom! Welcome, Gabriel, to the Australian Poetry Hall of Fame. Wednesday words. I'm Thundercloud. Mum calls me James, washing away the garbage, leaving rainbows after rains. Okay, we got some poetic games for you tonight on this 26th of June. That's only a month from my mum's birthday. 2024. Let's acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land on which we broadcast, the Camilleri and the Banbai people, to acknowledge their continuing connection to the land and acknowledge sovereignty's never been ceded. Let's also acknowledge the sacrifices of our diggers and service people throughout the past wars and the sacrifices they made so that we can have this wonderful lifestyle that we have in Australia today. All right, I thought I would do a few young people's kind of poems this evening. And one I thought I'd start with is called The Drover's Dream by, I don't know who it's by. It's illustrated by Deborah Nyland. One night, when travelling sheep, my companions lay asleep. There was not a star to illuminate the sky. I was dreaming, I suppose, for my eyes were partly closed when a very strange procession passed me by. First there came a kangaroo with his swag of blankets blue. A dingo ran beside him as his mate. They were travelling mighty fast, but they shouted as they passed, "We'll have to jog along, it's getting late." The pelican and the crane, they came in off the plain to amuse the company with the Highland fling. The dear old bandicoot played the tune upon his flute, and the native bears sat round him in a ring. The drongo and the crow sang us songs of long ago. The frilled-necked lizard listened with a smile, and the emu standing near with his claw up to his ear said, "The funniest thing I've heard for quite a while." The frogs from out the swamp where the atmosphere is damp came bounding in and sat upon the stones. They each unrolled their swags and produced from little bags the violin, the banjo and the bones. The goanna and the snake and the adder, wide awake with an alligator, danced the soldier's joy. In the spreading silky oak the jackass cracked a joke, and the magpie sang The Wild Colonial Boy. Some brolgas darted out from a tea tree all about and performed a set of lances very well. Then the parrot, green and blue, gave the orchestra its cue to strike up the old log cabin in the dell. I was dreaming, I suppose, of those entertaining shows, but it never crossed my mind I was asleep, till the boss beneath the cart woke me up with such a start, yelling, "Dreamy, where the hell are all the sheep?" So I don't know who wrote that. I'm going to find it out, because is this a Banjo Patterson book? It's Mulga Bill and his friends. Hang on here. It doesn't say who wrote it even, which is really kind of funny. I'm assuming. Oh no, it is. It's all Banjo Patterson poetry. Yeah. All right. I didn't know he wrote "Click Go the Shears." No. This is an old traditional song. Do you know that? "Click Go the Shears"?
Oh, I will.
Yeah. Okay, I'll sing it. Out on the board the old shearer stands, grasping his shears in his long bony hands. Fixed is his gaze on a bare-bellied Joe. Gory if he gets her, won't he make the ringer go? Click go the shears, boys, click, click, click. Wide is his blow when his hands move quick. The ringer looks around and is beaten by a blow, and curses the old swaggy with the blue-bellied Joe. Well, that's pretty terribly out of tune. In the middle of the floor in his cane-bottomed chair is the boss of the board with his eyes everywhere. Notes well each fleece as it comes to the screen, paying strict attention if it's taken off clean. The colonial experienced man, he is there of course, with his shiny leggings just got off his horse. casting round his eye like a real connoisseur, whistling the old tune, I'm the perfect lure. The tar boy is there awaiting in demand, with his blackened tar pot and his tarry hand. Sees one old sheep with a cut upon its back. Here's what he's waiting for. Tar here, Jack. Shearing is all over and we've all got our checks. Roll up your swag for we're off to the tracks. The first pub we come to, we'll have a spree, and everyone that comes along, let's come and drink with me. Down by the bar the old shearer stands, grasping his glass in his thin bony hands. Fixed is his gaze on a green painted keg. Glory, he'll get it down there, he stirs a peg. There we leave him standing, shouting for all hands, while all around him every shouter stands. His eyes are on the cask, which now is lowering fast. He works hard, he drinks hard, and he goes to hell at last. So click go the shear boys, click, click, click. Wide is his blows when the hands move quick. The ringer looks around and he's beaten by a blow, and curses he'll snag her with the blue belly Joe. So I did. I cut a lot of repetition of the chorus out of that. So, yeah. Oh, The Man from Ironbark. Well, this is a bit of one of banjo's classics, really. I guess I got a beard. I can kind of relate to it, but no one's ever tried to cut my throat. So, The Man from Ironbark. It was the man from Ironbark who struck the Sydney town. He wandered over street and park. He wandered up and down. He loitered here and loitered there till he was like to drop, until at last, in sheer despair, he sought a barber's shop. Here, shave me beard and whiskers off, I'll be a man of mark. I'll go and do the Sydney toff up home in Ironbark. The barber man was small and flash, as barbers mostly are. He wore a strike-your-fancy sash and smoked a huge cigar. He was a humorist of note and keen at repartee. He laid the odds and kept a tote, whatever that may be. And when he saw our friend alive, he whispered, "Here's a lark. Just watch me catch him all alive, this man from Ironbark." There were some gilded youths that sat along the barber's wall. Their eyes were dull, their heads were flat, they had no brains at all. To them the barber passed a wink, his dexter eyelid shut. I'll make this bloomin' yokel think his bloomin' throat is cut. And as he soaped and rubbed it in, he made a rude remark. "Oh, I suppose the flats is pretty green up there in Ironbark." A grunt reply was all he got. He shaved the bushman's chin, then made the water boiling hot and dipped the razor in. He raised his hand, his brow grew hot, he paused a while to gloat, then slashed that red-hot razor back across the victim's throat. Upon the newly shaven skin it made a livid mark. No doubt it fairly took him in, the man from Ironbark. He fetched a wild up-country yell, might wake the dead to hear, and though his throat he knew full well was cut from ear to ear, he struggled gamely to his feet and faced his murderous foe. "You've done for me, you doggone beat, one hit before I'll go. I only wish I had a knife, you blessed murdering shark, but you'll remember all your life the man from Ironbark." He lifted up his hairy paw and with one tremendous clout he landed on the barber's jaw and knocked the barber out. He set to work with tooth and nail and made the place a wreck. He grabbed the nearest gilded youth and tried to break his neck. And all the while his throat he held to save his vital spark. And "Murder, bloody murder!" yelled the man from Ironbark. A peeler man who heard the din came in to see the show. He tried to run the bushman in, but he refused to go. And when at last the barber spoke and said, 'Twas all in fun. This is just a little harmless joke, a trifle overdone. A joke, he cried. By George, that's fine, a lively sort of lark. I'd like to catch that murdering swine some night in Ironbark. And now, while round the shearing floor the listening shearers gape, he tells the story over and over and brags of his escape. Them barber chaps, what keeps a tote. By George, I've had enough. One tried to cut me bloomin' throat, but thank the Lord it's tough. And whether he's believed or no, there's one thing to remark, that flowing beards are all the go, way up in Ironbark.
That's nice.
It is, yeah. Yeah. It really makes a good children's story too. I was very fond of it as a youth myself. Yeah, that and Mulga Bill, really. Yeah, all right. Well, look, I've got one children's one for you that I've been working on. So last week, you've probably heard of Julius the Flying Giraffe. You've heard that one. Well, Julius the Flying Giraffe in another incarnation went on in another poem actually, went on a ride across Antarctica on a monocycle Harley motorcycle. Yeah. But I'm not going to read you that one. I'm going to read you the newest one that I'm working on about, well, you'll see. It involves Julius too. And I'm only up to, well, I'm kind of up to the sort of the bit where the adventure really begins. There once was a giraffe who wanted to see if he could learn to swim like a fish in the sea. So he searched using DuckDuckGo, giraffe swimming school, and found wild animal swim school at Timbuktu Pool. He called up the school and spoke with the elephant. The lessons were expensive, but he said, to the hell with it. I'll save up my coins. Can I pay you in crypto? The elephant replied, I'll just check with the hippo. He returned from the office. He made a decision. We accept payment in any currency offered and given. The giraffe said, I need bathers, togs, a cozzy for me, and I'll settle this debt using my Ripple XRP. His swimming instructor was a beautiful giraffe named Belle. He was nervous and said, I'm Julius. I want to swim well. I thought that a swimming giraffe would be unique, but you can swim. Could you please show me your technique? First thing is I want you to learn to blow bubbles. Next, learn to float to save yourself when you're in trouble. Now, kick those legs around and around your arms go. You're catching on quickly. You're definitely not slow. In only a month, he could swim a whole 50 metres. Belle Giraffe said, Julius, you could be a world beater. You've persistence, determination, and take responsibility. With all your hard work, you've developed a natural ability. The Olympics were approaching. He went to the African trials. He'd trained twice a day for a year, swimming daily 10 miles. Selected for breaststroke and freestyle in the Mali swim team. Julius was off to the Olympic Games, following his dream. And then that's where I ended it, but then there's two more lines. He caught the Trans-Saharan train, which doesn't exist, from Timbuktu to Sudan, then rode his monocycle Harley all around the Mediterranean. So he's on his way to France. And that's about where I got to today. So whatever happens in France, I was actually thinking that because he's doing freestyle and breaststroke, he would go in the freestyle and do the breaststroke, and he would make a mistake. Yeah, only because I did that when I was like 6 years old, and I got to the end of the pool, won the race, and everyone else is doing breaststroke, and I'm doing freestyle.
Why would he go to France via Sudan rather than Morocco from Timbuktu?
Oh, because it rhymed better.
Yeah, he's still doing the Mediterranean.
Yeah, I know, I did. It really, it did cross my mind that he should just go straight up, and then it's like, oh, hang on, how's he going to get there? Oh no, this was only to do with the rhyme, really. Yeah, it's, no, it's a roundabout way. Mm. Yeah, it really, you really did. That was my first thought process. That was the way you would go. Yeah, and because I was trying to put Casablanca in there.
Well,
Mm.
that would be that, wouldn't it?
Yeah, yeah. Mm.
You get a boat from Casablanca to Cadiz.
Yeah. Maybe we could probably even go to Tanzania and get people smuggled across or something. Mm. Mm.
Yeah, but to the wrong place.
Oh, yeah, that'd go to Italy, wouldn't it? Mm. Yeah, so it's the French Paris Olympics this year, isn't it? Yeah.
That's next month, isn't it?
Yeah. Mm.
End of next month.
Yeah. Mm. Okay, well, would you like to come on up? Okay.
Hi, everyone. Back for a month. 4 poems, 2 that I've been working on myself over the last month, and 2 from what is supposed to be the best, certainly the snootiest, literary magazine in the English-speaking language, called the London Review of Books. You can get it online, but you've got to pay. It's usually got at least one good article that's very thoughtful, but you try and get a poem published there, and unless you're either sleeping with the editor or you're a professor of poetry yourself, no chance. So for your entertainment, there'll be 2 examples of what they do publish. Here's the first one, and this is by an Oxford professor of poetry, who is called A.E. Stallings. No, I hadn't heard of him either, but apparently that's what he is. And I checked out the Oxford University staff list, and actually he really is. It's not just bullshit. So this poem is called Saronic, Saronic. Quite short. I saw 9 dolphins once, churn 3 by 3, in echelons behind a ferryboat, as though a combine harvested the sea. Curving towards our wake as asymptote, but only 3 at once above the brine. One rank leapt, then the next, so you could note. Now 3, now 3, now 3, a staggering 9. Gesturing, shouts and cell phones, all surprised and joyful, as if watered turned to wine. Or pirates into porpoises. Outsized, luck and happiness then seemed to trail our common path until the pod revised. Its course and swerved away, I do not sail on any vessel now, but I look back and face the troubled wake of salt and fail. To see 9 dolphins arching, just a pack of ragtag seagulls shrieking through the sheen of opalescent fumes blown from the stack, and think of where we're headed, where we've been, and things I've seen and might not see again, and sights that one day no one will have seen. Well, that's not too bad. Interesting rhyming scheme. First line and third line rhyme all the way through, and it's done in 3s. There's bound to be a technical name for that. It's a vague relative of the sestina, but I don't know what. I'm curious enough to investigate and look it up. And I'll do one of mine and then do the other one in the newspaper. This one is one of mine, and therefore it's a work in progress, written at the beginning of the month. I was having a meditate in a little temple in Bali. This is called Where Does Meditation Go? Thoughts and pictures float through my mind like clouds across the sky of my meditation. I don't care if I find nothing here signed, either to wound or to merit celebration. Even her silky, orchidic skin passes by like a bit of cirrus. My archived lust rolls by, pulsing without a heart. Yet this mental retreating victory smells of Pyrrhus, even though the losses predate this yogic start. I see 5 dreams of union, 3 in sex, 2 in dance. I hear symphonies, ska, jazz, anklung, steel-eyed jam. I feel roses, tongues, viper skins, furry bears, grainy sands. I taste peach schnapps, rundang, wugok, sturgeon, kunit assam. I smell osmanthus, fresh rye bread, frangipani, hot tar. I am not attached, but I do kind of smile in this Bali spa because something I can't name has given me the latitude to feel that thing I know to be fiction. Yes, gratitude. Well, I never. What a strange insight. In the meditative enactment, gratitude lies beneath detachment. Bit further down the track of my normal works in progress. That's not got too much to be done to it. Beneath, yeah. So trying to blank your mind, you get all the sights, smells and things, blah, blah, blah. And I'm trying to choose the things I like rather than things I don't like. And then because I've done that, I start to feel gratitude that I would normally either suppress, not notice, or not feel. So there's something there. Other one in the Times, the London Review of Books, sorry. This one is by a woman called Anne Carson, who's published a book, but she got no other public claim to fame. And this one is really weird. Let me show it to you first. Have you ever seen a title of a poem that long? Well, I'm not going to read the whole thing out. I'll read the stuff from the beginning and stuff from the end. Not particularly from the middle, because the middle hasn't got any particular significance of itself. This is called, the woman's called Anne Carson, and the title, In My Life as a Visiting Lecturer, I meet various and sundry people, or, another way to think of this, here are all the novels I never wrote, and you are welcome to them. Now, if I was an editor and I saw that, I'd fucking sued. Get out of here. So, who knows why that's here? Here are the first 3 novelettes or extracts or the stanzas, depending on what sort of thing this really is. First one called Giulio. Giulio likes to ask a good question in a bad way. Do most of your students fall in love with you? He's a recovering addict, but he doesn't see himself as a statistic. But here I'm quoting. He describes his novel, which is about the 65th Infantry of Puerto Rico. I watch the clotheslines out back, bouncing on the wind with its 4 frozen shirts. Next one. Long. Long talks about waking beside a man bleeding from the eyes. It sounds like Antonioni, possibly a dream, but I don't pay much attention. I'm more concerned about the coffee pot, which still has a melted cord, although missing parts have been replaced. Next one. Monica. In every room, she slinks to the wall and hunts it as if for shelter. On the street or on stairs, she pulls herself along, yet her body gives the message, to get there will be worse. When she goes to visit her child, he says, how do you do? And the last one from the beginning, called the Dales. Giggling and beautiful, they stand in the doorway after dinner. discussing the names they will give their children. He kisses her face, her filthy knuckles, laughs. Everyone laughs. The two of them glow like leaves. I watch, roaring. We all go by car somewhere, come back. I get out, close the car door, they drive off. And then lots and lots of other little blocks like that. And the last, how many? Let's do 4. Are as follows. Sylvester, go to law school, his father commanded him. Instead, Sylvester became a connoisseur of African art. Descended from African kings, he is packed with king anger. The stupidity of museum labels in European museums, for instance, angers him. They call everything an idol, having no idea what it is. When he was 7, he ran away from home with his friend T. His father had them both brought back and obliged Sylvester to watch the ceremony in which T was beheaded. Good, sharp. Bishop Hugh. On a very English afternoon, chill rain riddling down, Bishop Hugh had travelled by train to Fécamp to view a relic of Mary Magdalene. It was a long journey, rain changing to heavy rain. The relic was wrapped in 3 layers of linen and 1 of silk. Bishop Hugh suddenly leaned forward and bit off a good chunk of the holy ulna. Dwyer. He cuts off his father's feet. It's an accident. Then the father sits in the canoe with his feet cut off, looking baffled as if to say, here's one more bad thing. What will the boy do next? The boy is screaming down the phone to 911. His mother laughing, lifting her hand to her lips. Why does she keep hanging up the phone? I've got the feet, he screams. I'll bring the feet. They'll sew it back on. The mother laughs. The father sits mildly. The boy is searching his brain. Do you wrap the feet separately or together with the ankles? The canoe rocks on its own wake. The last one, Friday. Migraine may accompany a visit. She has brought with her Beckett's book on Proust. Sometimes Beckett appears to be just horsing around, but then a sentence is so intelligent, she lays the book down, unable to go on. After the lecture, there had been Q&A. She heard herself tell the students, all storytelling is a cliche. Just go down into the barking heart of the thing and see how a pineapple is made, to quote Wallace Stevens. And they said, who's Wallace Stevens? The bunch of green bananas on her kitchen window sill at home is still green when she gets back. This makes her think of T.S. Eliot, his infant vows of chastity, while writing big black knotty penis in letters to friends. So those are quite good. Why they're into his poems, I don't know, because that kind of puts you off. But each of those has really got something. So I'll leave that with you because I normally throw those away after a run. And lastly, I was listening to my favourite rock group called The Jam, and they used to do a lot of little narrative songs, sort of along the lines of Eleanor Rigby and Other Lonely People. I thought, I've never done one like that. It'd be nice to do one. So who do I know who would be a suitable subject? And so I thought, oh, there's somebody at the university where I work who is quite a lonely, morose kind of profile. And I thought, I'll invent something about him. So this is what I did. Simon Heathfield lived alone in a small flat. He had no friends, but had a good steady job. His screen time saw him loyal to YouTube. He was a loner, slightly scared of the mob. Simon Heathfield only had one small pleasure. Each Sunday morning, off to the rub tug mart. He didn't notice he'd only got a half measure. He only lived to come with all of his heart. He had had sex with girlfriends just a few times and paid for it with workers when abroad. He didn't dare to dream of doing sex crimes. Pornography just left him very bored. His weekly trip sure raised his low vibration, connecting him to heavenly pure high bliss. It gave the week a precious termination. He never thought, how did it come to this? One day a new girl took him to the table. Her touch was so tender and so restful. He went to sleep so deep he had a vision. His mother holding him right then and there. He awoke and cried with his emission, but the girl held his hand and wiped her hair. She had not touched him in the usual places, had offered him no sex by word or deed, but her hand on his evoked his mother's deep graces, and he felt how much more this met his need, to feel the feel of caring and be grateful. How soft, how slight, how strengthening, how faithful. Much better was this glimpse of divine mother true love than all the hand jobs, blow jobs, when push didn't come to shove. And that's it for today.
Playing video games and habitual addictions. So I've been on a bit of a dopamine detox to get away from video shorts in particular, which seem to, if you get onto them, they can just eat up your time, and they're designed to do that. And I did once upon a time play video games a little bit, but never really got into it because I always felt I was wasting my time. This is about that. Playing video games is like wanking the brain. Habitual addiction to puzzles and pictures again and again. The choice, take the helm, become your own boss. Because as death approaches, you can never recover time wasted or lost. Imagine at the end of your life, your main memories are of time wasted playing video games. You would have no one but yourself to blame. Yeah, pretty much.
Wanking the brains onto the way.
It is, isn't it?
All wanking is wanking the brain, because that's supplying 9/10 of the sensation. On the other hand, literally wanking the brain, you can't envisage it.
No, you can't, can you?
Stroking a lettuce or something.
Yeah. So the next one I've got for you is I was going to do 1973. These are both kind of historical, prosaic kind of things. The first one is, okay, so I'll put it in context. So back in 2014, on the 27th of November, I came home from work where I was teaching English as a second language in TAFE. And my car was smashed up by hail, big hailstones, like fist-sized ones, and the roof had blown off the house. And I didn't know that. And I called my boys and I said, can you help me carry this fruit up? And they walked out and they said, Dad, the roof blew off. Well, I said, that's a good chance for a change. And a couple of days after that, I was cleaning up, and it was I was supposed to be going to my son's birthday party at the swimming pool at 11:30. At 11 o'clock, I went into the house without a roof, and my cat Norm was there, and he hassled me. He was hungry, so I gave him some food and put it down. And as I turned away, I picked up my melodica and I walked down the hallway and I played it and I hit the high C. As I hit that high C, I heard this massive crash, and I ran back to the kitchen, and there where I'd just been standing 20 seconds earlier, this big cupboard had fell off the wall onto the cat's bowl. The cat was all right, it wasn't there. So this is about that. When that happened, I got this kind of rush of like Kundalini energy and a crackling up here, which now I know it's like it's your energy channels opening up, and it's to your pineal gland. So boom, slam, crackle, and my brain cracked open. Played the high C, my pineal unbroken. Norm the cat was hungry. Here, Norm, have some fish. Reggae music blasting, melodica in the mouth. See, wish, wham, bam, slam. Now, in a parallel universe in a different land, different but the same, and the difference being a crack in my brain. rush of adrenaline, bliss, joy, not sad, run out, kiss and hug my dad. I love my dad and my mum, my 3 sons. I appreciate everyone. Back to my brain. What's going on in my head? The universe is more saner than sane. A cupboard fell off the wall and I'm not dead. It cracked open my brain. Had been working hard to detoxify, cleanse, to open my pineal, exercise, yoga, sit, meditate and kneel. But in an unexpected instant, a shock. This is how it feels? Who would have thought that when the thunderstorm struck, the result would be that my mind would be unfucked, pineal uncalcified, so that my intuition awoken? What luck! Boom, slam, crackle, wham, bam, slam. Journey man, traveller of life's ways, adventure, inspiration, and creativity awaits. Yeah, that was that.
A Zen slap on the head.
It was. It very was. Yeah, definitely. It was a bigger wake up than the roof blowing off.
How long did it take you to put the roof back on?
No, it was a rental house, so I just moved out. Yeah, but it took 12 months before they did. Yeah, with all of that.
It was in Brisbane.
Yeah. South Brisbane, just near the Mater Hospital. So now the next one, I'm inspired by Gladys, because last week I read out this. This is Gladys's history of the Everett School, which was 3 miles out of town, and it was moved into town and joined with another school down the back here and made into the Scout Hall, which is currently being renovated to become a community hall. So Gladys wrote this history here, and I was a little bit inspired to think about some of my earlier memories and write a little bit of history. And when I was young, like 3 years old, I used to 1, 2, and 3. I used to spend my days sometimes at my nana's house. She would look after me, as grandparents often do. And this is called 1973. Much simpler days. There was no internet then, and we still had black and white TV in Australia. That was the year I think we got black and white TV. Oh no, that was 76. No, it wasn't. It was 73. Yeah, doesn't matter. 1973. There were plums, apricots, apples, and lemons. They grew in my nana's garden. Caulfield, on the corner of Narrawong Road. The garbage can was metal. The grass was always green, well mowed, even and soft. All the grass clippings raked up, and the snails could be eaten. Not really, but it was a bit of a sleight of hand by my grandfather, like this. And drop it down the back. Pretending to eat snails that made me think I could eat them. Even to this day, I've never been able to hold snails down, no matter how much garlic or chili smothers them. I wind up projectile vomiting. But they taste so good. The fruit trees, back to that. Each tree was very neatly kept and had no grass growing around the base in a very neat circle with a trench around it. The lemon tree was old and seemed so big, but I was small. That was the first time I found out that lemon trees have big spikes. Climbing the lemon tree, but I did not get spiked. It was the smell of the lemon tree that I loved, and being inside it in the cool shade while it was hot outside. I like to help with the weeding because I was allowed to use the weeding fork. Oh gosh. The plums were blood plums, sweet and juicy with a strong scent of plum. In spring, the blossoms of all the fruit trees had a strong, sweet aroma. The bees enjoyed the fruit tree blossoms too, dancing on one flower and then another. My grandfather had told me that the bees make honey down behind the dunny. James picks it up and thinks it's money. I went searching for the bees in down behind the back of the toilet. I only found Daddy Longlegs. Yeah, it was my childhood. One part of it, very fond part of my childhood with my grandparents. Yeah.
It's a clear enough picture.
Mm. Yeah, yeah, and that's it for me tonight. I don't have much more to read out apart from a little quatrain that I wrote on the night of the solstice, a.m. And I was sitting in my bed, and it was the solstice and the full moon. They sort of all came on together, and it was 2:22, and this was just my head was ringing like a bell. It was sort of like, and I was like, it was weird, hey. And I just wrote this: full moon and winter solstice make the sleep light. The days will get colder now after the longest night. So I sit and write the words entering my head, and my ears are ringing. Sorry, my ears and mind are ringing, sitting here in my bed. It's a little quickie, short one there. And I don't have really anything else that I really want to read out to you tonight. Yeah. That's it. Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you very much. If you've liked this, give it a thumbs up, a comment to tell us what you liked, and also click on subscribe so you're tuned in for coming up videos and stuff. All right. Good night. Thank you very much.